Hello, my name is Andre Maurice Davis, and we will be going over the stances that we've learned in the offensive skills class. So the stances that we learned, we went over the horse stance, the front stance, the ready stance, the cat stance, and the back stance. So there should be 5 stances that we know after going through the offensive skills stance portion of the class. So if we go through these stances that we've learned, we'll start with the horse stance. So the horse stance, we've come out and we make sure that our weight is distributed evenly going down into our 6 anchor points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want to make sure that our back is straight, that our butt is tucked underneath us, and that we're grounded and solid in our core. That's if we tighten up our core, we're going to be able to feel a little bit sturdier in our stance and learn to get a little bit more endurance over time. We want to make sure that, again, our butt is tucked underneath us, our back is straight, our shoulders are relaxed as we settle in, and just let the weight drop down, coming down into the middle, like a weighted string coming through the top of your body and just hanging down. Our hands can be either chambered, ready to throw punches if we wanted to throw punches. We can have them up into a guard or ready position. We can have them just resting, whatever we want to do in this case. We just want to focus on being able to stand here in this stance naturally, comfortably over a set amount of time, however much time you wanted to do. So we can practice this by reading a book, watching TV, playing video games, whatever we want to do that we're working, where we don't need to necessarily use our legs, and we'll be stationary anyway. We can go ahead and just jump into the stance we want to practice in. So we can step up out of the stance, shake out our legs if we want to a little bit, and then we'll just go over the front stance. So the front stance is going to be less symmetrical in terms of side of the bodies, but our front foot is going to be facing forward, our back foot's going to be facing slightly forward, potentially angled at the side a little bit. We want to make sure that our knee is going over our toes so that we can't see it when we look down. Our hips are going to be facing forward, pointing, my belly button is going to be pointing in the same direction as my knee, and I'm going to feel pretty solid as I drop my weight down, and feel like if I get an impact coming from the front here, I'm going to be able to push against that pretty well with the force that comes forward through. I'm going to have about 60% of my weight on my front leg and about 40% of my weight on my back leg. I should be able to drop this down, keep my back up straight, and again, focus on keeping my hips forward so that I can be in a strong, sturdy stance. I want to make sure that I'm not wobbling side to side, so my stance should be wide enough so that I'm not feeling like I'm on a tight walk, but also not too wide that I'm doing a split going through. So you're going to find that happy medium. As far as the weight going down and rooting yourself into the ground, you've got your 3 anchor points here, and not quite the same 3 anchor points. We're going to have more weight feeling going down in the first 2 anchor points by the toes versus the heel, but we want to make sure our heel is touching the ground. We don't want that to come up. We want to make sure that's planted down. So face it forward, and we come up, and we can do the same on the other side. So that's the horse stance. That is the front stance, and then we would go on to the ready stance. So the ready stance is half the distance of the front stance, approximately, and we're going to be a lot looser with this stance. Both knees are bent. We can move around a little bit. I can switch stances, switch sides very easily, turn. I can move forward, move back, move to the side. Whatever I want to do with the stance. It's a lot more fluid than the other 2 stances, and with our hands in this case, because it's the way that we've been learning the ready stance or fighting stance is in a preparation to be ready to fight. So our hands are going to be up in a guard as we do that in this case. our back foot, not like the front stance where I had commented on keeping that heel down. We can keep our heel up on this ready stance and move around. If we're gonna go stationary with it, we will keep our heel down, but if we're up and moving, we can freely lift that heel up so that we can lightly touch the ground and spring forward with a kick or whatever we might want to do with that leg if need be. So that's the horse stance, the front stance, the ready stance, and now let's look at the cat stance. The cat stance, we will keep one foot that will support most of our weight, if not all of our weight, and the other foot will be fairly free, being able to tap. You're pawing at the ground like a cat. All my weight's coming down here. So with this foot up like this, I can strike out with it if I want to. I can move forward with it. I can shuffle forward, I can move back, but my weight is going to be supported here. If we're doing a stationary, I can check if I want to. Again, I can move freely however I want to move, that the range of motion allows me to do. So that's the cat stance. So that was the horse stance, the front stance, the ready stance, the cat stance, and last we'll look at the back stance. The back stance we are, it's the inversion of the front stance. Our weight shifted to our back leg, and our front leg is going to be straight as opposed to the back leg being straight. So our back leg is bent in, our front leg is straight. Our weight distribution is probably about 70-30 of weight going back here versus 70%, 30% on the front leg. And then from this back stance, we're going to go into a defensive position as we've covered it in this course. So our hands up like this, we can shift again. Again, we can shift this into a front stance just by shifting our hips for the most part. Oops. But if I just shift, in this case, what I just shifted, I'm a little bit narrow, I may have to adjust, but for the most part, we can shift our hips back and forth into the stances as we need to do that. So again, the back stance, about 70% on the back leg, 30% on the front leg, back straight, butt underneath us. We don't want to stick it back. Underneath us, straight up, and up, leaning up, and that covers all of the stances. As far as transitioning between the stances, we'll get more into that into our defensive class, but with what we know, and we've gone over some of the transitions and how they work with each other, so that front stance into the back stance, for example, the ready stance, I'm sorry, the cat stance, into a ready stance, into a cat stance, ready stance, cat stance. If I move my leg out further, where's that going to go? That's going to bring me into the front stance, cat stance, front stance, and then I can move into different stances with different legs if I just swing my leg and put it to where it is. So as we go through the classes, you'll have the opportunity to practice outside of class as well and understand where your positioning is so that you're going into strong stances that your body can handle, and then you can push yourself to go into deeper stances as need be, and be able to switch between stances as need be. But again, we'll get more into the switching in the defensive skills section of the foundations course. If you have any questions about any of the stances that we've gone over in this offensive skills portion of the Foundations of Martial Arts course, feel free to reach out. Come on down to the studio at Mandala Sun. I'd love to work out with you, take some of our classes, and learn some more skills. So thanks a lot. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day.